All right, let's get started with that part one. And the first concept that obviously we're looking at is the composition of parliament. So, parliament consists of the crown, the lower house, and the upper house. And this includes both the Commonwealth Parliament and state level parliaments as well. And you need to know both of these. So, let's talk about the lower and upper house first. The lower house in the Commonwealth Parliament is referred to as the House of Representatives. Within state parliament, so in Victoria, this is referred to as the Legislative Assembly. The lower house is referred to as the House of Government. Um, this is basically, the party that has the majority of seats in this house. So the party that has the most members of that political party when they get elected, uh, they form government. So this means, if that year during the elections, most members that were elected by the people included Labour Party representatives, Labour becomes the majority party because they have the majority of seats. And the leader of that political party, depending or if it's state or Commonwealth level, they would become the person sort of in charge, right? The minister. So um, considering that, like the significance of that, what does that mean? Well, when we initiate a law, which is a bill, right? When it's a proposed law in Parliament, if it's initiated in the lower house, but one party has already the majority of seats there, we only need more than 50% of votes to pass that bill along, to pass that proposed law through the lower house. So if we have a party with the majority of seats, forming government, we will always pass that bill because automatically there's more, all the representatives of that party will vote along their party lines. So if their party introduced that bill, they will all approve it. But another protection that we have in place is that bills, in order to become law, must pass through both houses of parliament and attain more than 50% of votes in both houses. So the next step of what happens is, even that bill that has been approved, it will go to the upper house next, which you need to really know these terms. At Commonwealth Parliament level, this is the Senate, and at state parliament level, this is the Legislative Council. So again, when the bill comes to the upper house, generally with the structure that we've got, the the structure of each house is very, very different. So that offers us that protection because generally, while the bill might pass easily through the lower house where the government party is with the most seats, the composition of the Senate will be different. And that means that, if the bill is, genuinely not great for the public and it's only in that party's interests, but it doesn't really represent the views of, the other people, such as minority groups, it likely will not get approved and it will not become law. So that offers us a protection. So the lower house is referred to as, yeah, the house of government, and the upper house is its role is to represent the interests of the states if we're looking at Commonwealth Parliament. And if we're looking at state parliament, its role is to represent the interests of the different regions within the state. So that's how we would try to have it balanced structure and make sure that, there isn't all of this corruption. There's just this one party that calls all the shots, the party with the majority of seats, and they enact any laws that they would like. So this is that protection, is having that bicameral two house structure. Um, Now, lastly, there's the Queen's representative, also referred to as the Crown. So this is not actually the Crown, that's part of Parliament, but is an actual representative. It's not the royalty in England that's doing this, but it is a delegated representative. Their role is any bill that's been approved by both houses, any proposed law that's been approved by both houses, in order for it to pass, the Crown must grant it something called royal assent. This is the very last step when we're looking at the progression of a bill. So before any law becomes an actual law, it must have that formal step where the Queen's representative basically signs it off. So grants it that royal assent. Now, they do by law have the ability to reject bills and not sign them, so they wouldn't become actual acts. However, this generally never happens. This really is kind of a formal step. It has almost never ever happened where royal assent was not granted to a bill. So, the Queen's representative or the Crown at Commonwealth Parliament level is the Governor General, and at State Parliament level, this is the Governor. So, don't confuse these terms, they are very similar. Okay, so this is just things that you'll have to remember. Okay, so hopefully I didn't lose you. Obviously, you've got, that broadcast going, and even after the live lecture is over, you can access that recording for, I believe, a week from the same page. So listen to that explanation again, because I didn't just talk about the composition, but I also talked about the process of a bill and how it progresses through parliament, and hinted at the main roles of the crown, upper house, and lower house as well. But I think if you look everything just in an isolated way, like if we just looked at the names of each house and then the roles separately, it's too confusing because these concepts need to be explained and viewed together. So, understanding the levels of parliament must be tricky, but inevitably, if you don't understand them, you will be one of those students in legal studies that complains about Unit 4 being very, very hard and very stressful and struggling to understand anything. So, what I do want to point out is these are the key concepts. So, that includes the composition and roles of Parliament, but it also includes the roles of the High Court and the Australian Constitution with regards to all of this, in order for you to be able to grasp the rest of the concepts. And then when you do Unit 4 Area of Study 2, you would definitely be lost if you don't get these key concepts right.